sit down, remain silent for just a minute or two and try to listen if there are any birds calling. At least 2 different species of birds are calling. Oh, yeah, the same. The tip tap tap tip tap tip tap tap. Do you recognize the species of that bird, guys? This is one of the most common forest birds that you find everywhere in Europe. This is a chiffchaff. So whenever you go into the forest and you hear that chip chap chap chip chap chip chap chap chip chap chap chip, and that hooing, it is of course the wood pigeon. It is the wren. It's also quite characteristic forest bird. This is generally a very peculiar bird. It is of that size. This one here. That size of a bird. But it sings so loudly as if it was 3 or 4 times larger. And it usually stays very close to the ground. And it's all brown, looks like a mouse. Whenever you go through a forest, you see a brown thing hopping around on the ground and in the branches. It's going to be a wren. We have birds that stay most of the time in the canopies. They don't usually go very, very low. For example, the goldcrest. This is the tiniest bird in Europe. Regulus, it means little king. And it stays most of the time up in the canopies. We have bird species that stay in the canopies and build their nests in the canopies, but they find their food low on the grounds. Whenever there is a group of trees, you will have a chaffinch there.
What do you mean default?
This is a chaffinch. If you go to a forest in April, you will have dozens, hundreds of them singing. Very lively song with a very strong accent in the end. And this is an example of a bird that sings from the top of the tree, but it usually looks for food down in the forest floor. So the chaffinch nests in the trees, forage on the ground, but there are also birds that do the other way around. For example, a wood warbler. It's very similar to chiffchaff. Waders are normally wetland birds, but this is a unique wetland bird that lives in the forest. Woodcock. So it's a camouflage, like a camouflage. And finally, we have a very, very specific group of birds which are closely related to the tree trunks. Woodpeckers. So we are not going to see them here, but whenever you go into a forest, you will have a woodpecker. And woodpeckers are extremely important in the forest because they are the providers of the tree holes. They make the holes in the trees, so the other birds, not only birds, we'll see in a while, may then build their nests or find shelter in the tree holes. What are their characteristic features? What is so typical of them? Beaks. Yes, woodpeckers have very strong and sharp beaks. It can drill holes even if quite hard wood. What else? Most birds have 3 toes to the front and 1 to the back. Woodpeckers have 2 front, 2 back. So this allows for a better grip to the tree bark. Look closely and tell me which animals use the tree holes that are made by woodpeckers. Let's start from the top. That bird here. The bird's name is starling. Does it live in the tree holes or not? It does. Yeah. So this species uses the tree holes made by woodpeckers. Okay. Here we have the pygmy owl. Does it use the tree holes? It does. 6 of those use the tree holes made by woodpeckers. This is the great spotted woodpecker, which makes little holes. On next page, this is the black woodpecker. This is the largest woodpecker in Europe. It's more or less the size of a jackdaw. So this is such a large bird, okay? Oh, with such a bill. This is the size of the bill of the black woodpecker. So it can drill holes even in such hard wood as the beech wood. These trees are beeches, and the black woodpecker can drill holes even if the beech trees. When there is the best time to go to the forest to look and listen to the birds? What time of the year? Spring. It may be important for you if you want to take your kids into the forest. Do it in early spring, end of March or April. There are two main reasons for that. One main reason is that almost all of the forest birds are not long-distance migrants. They are either residents or they migrate only to southern Europe, so they come back early. So they start to sing early. So when you go in early spring, you are more probable to listen to the birds singing. Later in the season, when they already have their own young, they don't sing as intensively. And the other thing is that early in the spring, there are no leaves in the forest. When you now enter the forest, it's all dark. You don't see the birds because there are leaves everywhere. But when you go in early spring, in March or in April, there are still no leaves in the forest. There's lots of light, and the birds are more easily to be seen. Do it in early spring, end of March or April. Then you can benefit most from taking your kids in the forest and show them the birds, how the birds sing, what do they do. You can hear the woodpeckers drumming into the trees then. So this is the best time of the year to go and have your chance with forest birds.
Today our issue are forest birds, and I would like you to prepare a forest conference. You have 10 or 15 minutes to find object in this area. What you like very much. It can be tree, it can be tree trunk, etc. What you like, and sit around this object, observe them for a few minutes, and think what question can you ask it. Okay, now I would like you to present your activity. What did you find and what question did you ask, okay? Children have questions too, a lot of questions. According to constructivism theory of education, there are problem-solving questions. How can we integrate this question with another areas of children activity? Maths, language, writing tasks, arts. Yes? Do you understand? Okay. And now choose only one question from your questions, only one, and try to prepare short activity for children using teaching materials. In my opinion, you created the bank of ideas. The bank of ideas which you can use in process of children education. Very interesting and really very creative.